Hello, great ones. Welcome to the Live and Be Great podcast. I'm your host, Latanya Sampson McDonald. I am a life coach and a registered marriage and family therapist associate. And this podcast was created to motivate, educate, and inspire all to live and be great. On today's episode, first, I would like to apologize for missing the last episode. There was a lot going on. One being that I had an infected eye and life was hitting me right and left, but I'm back, and I just want you guys to always know that if I miss something, please just send out positive vibes towards my way, and I will always make it back to you. So today, it's funny to mention that because this episode, I want to talk about obstacles that can sometimes deter us from our dreams and our aspirations, and what I'm doing currently to keep myself motivated and focused on what I'm trying to do with my life. And I also have a special treat for you all today. My husband is joining me on this episode, and I also want him to share some of the obstacles that he faces and what he is doing right now, this moment, which is kind of my style when it comes to inspiration and motivation. No, not kind of. It's actually my style. Is I like to give people motivation while I'm going through something, because the energy is different. Sometimes you forget what you did to overcome an obstacle after the fact, and I think the journey is just as important as the destination. So, introducing for today my co-host, my husband, Mr. Christopher McDonald. Say hello to everybody, babe.
Hello, everybody.
Yes, so let's get into it. So, one of the things that I've been trying, and I would say my husband is starting to get into it as well, is the process of redirecting my negative thoughts. Okay? For instance, when it comes to the law of attraction, which I'm a big believer in that, okay? And my husband is too. I believe that if you shift your energy, the universe will align itself with your purpose. So, what I've been practicing, okay, like when I make an investment into my business and my dreams and my goals, money is often that thing that we have a lot of fear when it comes to taking risk, and we can often feel guilty when we decide to make an investment into what we're trying to do. It's easier to give your money to somebody else's purpose, but for your own, for some reason, the guilt shows up. So what I've been doing is telling myself, hey, I'm going to spend this today. I'm not going to worry. The money's coming. Just shifting my thoughts and not allowing that fear to enter and dwell in my space and my consciousness. It's difficult, but sometimes you gotta force greatness. You really do. When it comes to fighting for yourself and staying motivated and inspired. So, babe, what are your thoughts about that? How have you been combating the negative thoughts when they show up?
Well, I actually got into this practice many years ago. When I was 17 is when I really started studying and immersing myself in what I would consider spiritual and emotional mastery. And the process was, well, it was eye opening. It was a complete experience. But controlling your emotions as a whole will isolate it and start with that, not even just your negative thoughts but your emotions as a whole, how things hit you, the difference between being an observer of your emotions and a reactor, responding rather than reacting. It's okay to feel what you feel. We're humans, we have emotions for a reason, and what most people don't know is emotion, the word emotion itself actually stands for energy in motion. So when we feel something, when we have those emotions, be they positive or negative, they're going to hit us and they're going to affect us in a certain way. And what most people don't understand truly is that your emotions, they're information, but they're not instruction. They're
Mm-hmm.
not just straight orders. So when you feel bad or you feel scared or you feel upset, that doesn't mean that you just lose it, drop everything, and become frantic. It's information. You feel that way for a reason. So you have to stop and observe your feelings. Figure out what is the root, what is the cause, what is the trigger, okay? And where is your course of action and how you respond going to lead you? Is it going to serve you or not? So, 9 times out of 10, we have these negative thoughts and negative feelings. And if we just simply react based on how we feel, oftentimes it's going to leave us in the same place or possibly a worse place than where we were already. So, for me, at this point, now that I'm revisiting it, I got away from it due to my mental health suffering. And I'm sure we're going to end up talking about that later, knowing my wife.
Oh, they heard your voice before. Plenty
Oh,
of times when we've done the conferences, I've shared it, so they've heard about you before in previous episodes. The conferences you've done with me with the fifth wall. Hmm.
okay. Well, now that I know that you guys know my voice, um, but to complete the thought, I had gotten away from it and had gone down a certain path due to my mental health, and now and also the loss of some family members, and just a lot happened. So I'm regaining my footing now and starting to remember what it was like to be in that place when I was gaining more control of my emotions, when I was learning and learning mastery and not looking at life in wins and losses, but instead looking at it in terms of wins and lessons.
Hmm.
So, yeah, now even when it comes to the thought of failing, the fear of failing is strong enough for most people to not even attempt certain things.
Yep, sure is.
But Denzel Washington once said, if you're going to fail, fail forward.
Hmm.
In other words, learn from your mistake and come back and do it again. And even if it doesn't work out in the format that you feel like it should, you will still be further along than you were prior. So everything is a lesson. You just can't let the negative emotions and all the rest of the stuff hit you and throw you off balance. Even certain positive emotions, being getting too your energy getting too high and allowing yourself to get too wound up, because then your fall is going to be longer and harder. It's better to stay even keeled. You're more balanced within your emotion, be they positive or negative. Sometimes having your expectations too high in certain areas as to where you haven't quite set yourself up properly can make you fall harder, you know? So it's about really being honest with yourself and sitting with your feelings, sitting with your thoughts, and using your emotions and your brain to be able to move forward and make better decisions in order to win. And it's okay to fall. It's okay to fail. It's okay to as they say, take a L because you're not. It's not a loss. It's a lesson. It's something that if you adhere to and really pay attention to, it's going to help you move forward.
That was good, darling. Yep, that's why we're married. You're amazing. But I like, something that she said about um failing forward, and also sometimes you set your expectations high but don't necessarily set yourself up properly. So when it comes to that aspect, like for instance, you win the lotto and you tell everybody you won the lotto. So usually after that, everybody starts asking for money and favors and things of that nature. So say you end up basically giving away all your money. Now you're back to square one. No one, I don't want you to think, okay, let me not win the lotto anymore. But this time, it's not a loss, it's a lesson if you learn from it. So this time, the second go round, when you win the lotto, you may not want to announce it to everybody this time, right? Do what you did to win the last time because, hey, you won. But after that, we have to take our lessons from the last time. So that means I'm not telling everybody, and I pick and choose who knows and who I do favors for. I have a right to do that because this is mine. You know, this is your gift. This is what you earned or what you won. So, in that aspect, nobody's saying, not to dream big, right? Because a lot of us do have to fight that battle. We dream a little bit too small, right? We don't feel like we're worthy of the big dreams. But it is important to go after that dream and try to set yourself up as best as possible to sustain that accomplishment when you get there. Okay, so the next thing I want to talk about is the lies. The lies we tell ourselves when it's time to do something for ourselves. I think I said that right. I hope I did. So one of the lies I know that is common is um I can't afford it. I can't afford it. Now, most of the time when you think about the word afford or the action of affording something, you usually think about money, okay? But the truth of the matter is, most of us are out there working our backs to the bone for somebody else's dream. We have people out here in California right now with full-time jobs living in their car. Okay? So, I've said this plenty of times before. How dare you? How dare you work yourself to the bone for somebody else, but you feel as though you cannot afford just a little piece of that for your own dreams. Okay? Let's talk about that battle. Babe, do you is that familiar to you? The I can't afford it lie?
Well, first, I think we got to be careful in how we address it because some people will look at it and go, "Well, I'm not lying to myself if I tell myself I can't afford something that's $20 and I got $1."
Mm-hmm.
I understand the math on that. I can dig it.
Mm-hmm.
I get it. Um, Also, if we're talking about money, one thing is that a lot of us aren't financially literate. So we don't really have a strong understanding of money and what money is and what it's for. So that can be hard in our mentality. So when we say automatically, when something comes up and we just go up, I can't afford that. I'm doing this. We have to change our way of thinking, switch it around. Even the way that we speak to ourselves, our inner dialogue, our lingo, you know, our vernacular when it comes to the inner, rather than I can't afford it. You can say, well, how can I afford it? What way can I make for myself? How can we do this? Because your brain stops working as soon as you say can't. And that's just the truth of it. When you say can't about anything, you automatically stop working on a way to fix it, a way to make it happen, a way to overcome it and get it done. Uh, Shoot, I've told myself a lot of lies. I think sometimes we lie to ourselves more than we lie to other people, and we don't even understand it because we've been programmed that way. You know, I would lie to myself and tell myself that I didn't have time for things. I don't have time because I'm too busy working on something else, not realizing that what I was working on wasn't for myself. It was for somebody else. It was to benefit someone else. And at the end of it, regardless of how much time I spent, I was going to be in the same place afterwards. So, yes, I can't afford it. That's one I've used. I don't have time. That's another one I've used. Oh, I don't. That's gonna take too long. I don't have what I need. You know, just there's a slew of them. There's all manners of them, but the problem is they all lead to the same place. They're all just can'ts. So they cancel out any chance of you being able to go ahead and achieve that, even if it's something small. Because you have to think about how many cells you have in your body. And when you focus on something, when your mind is on something, or you put all your energy towards it, every cell in your body, every brain cell you got, it's all working towards the same thing. So you got a million helpers with you, manifesting to go ahead and make that happen and bring that into the world. Well, it works the same way when you say can't, you know? Now, everything inside your body and inside your brain is pushing in the opposite direction of what it is that you want or what you need. So, yeah, there's a billion lies that we tell ourselves, but the worst one is that we're just not capable of achieving whatever it is, large or small, that we want or need because it's going to stunt our growth and it could stunt your growth forever. It's just the way it works. I mean, I don't know if that answered the question properly or not.
Yeah, I think you did great, as always. Yeah. Mhm. I expected it.
You're such a motivator. Every time somebody could just they could just walk in the room and then you're like you the way you walked in the room you did that well,
Yeah.
and I appreciate your footsteps.
Mhm.
But yeah,
Yes.
I like that energy.
Mhm. Thank you. Thank you. I do not disagree with that. But yes, the lies we tell ourselves. Sometimes the lies they just are safer. They create a space of, if I go ahead and cancel myself out now, I don't have to try. I don't have to have that fear of failing. So, yeah, the lie works for us that, succumb to the fear. It does. It's an unconscious thing. At the time when you're saying it, you may not completely identify it as a lie, um, because of that fear. And sometimes that fear can seep in, not just from yourself, but also from the people around you. You may have people around you who may have always seen you one way, and other people place certain expectations on you. They put you in a box. So anything outside of the box, you know, they get their human instinct sometimes is to become fearful themselves and try to protect you from failing. A lot of times it'll be our parents to do that. And it's hard to fight past, because sometimes unconsciously you might go to the person who's going to talk you out of it so you don't have to do it. And other times you go to the person that is going to talk you into it and kind of give you that validation, like, yeah, you could do it. You go to get the answer that you want to receive a lot of times. And it's all about how you use that information, how you analyze, where do I go to get myself to step forward or push backwards and forget the whole thing, you know? So that part, you have to have these conversations with yourself when it comes to these dreams that you have that keep you awake at night, and you end up pulling out every excuse known to man to not go ahead and try to make it happen. We have to figure that out, because if anything that COVID-19 has taught me, at least, is time. Man, time is precious, and not everybody gets a second chance to get up and try again. So, if you have an opportunity to listen to this podcast, if you have an opportunity to get up tomorrow and breathe again, man, I need you to honor that and not take that for granted, and really, really take going into 2021 as, I don't have time to waste. And if I were to leave here, like, can I truly say that I've tried my best and I've given my all?
Well, to one more thing I think we need to address on that subject is the false sense of security that we create for ourselves through lies, which really doesn't serve us at all. It just makes us feel safe and secure when we're not. It's like telling yourself, okay, if I get this job at the gas station, it's enough to be able to pay my bills. So all I have to do is go ahead and work this job and I'll be good, And then I'll get raises, and, I can become manager, and, you know, it'll take care of what I need. Now, the lie in that is that you're telling yourself that somebody else who has no obligation to take care of you is going to just take care of you for the rest of your life. That the focus of their business is going to be to help bring you up. And unfortunately, that is just not the case often. You know, um, a wise man said that most people are one skill away from being rich. So oftentimes when we give ourselves, we tell ourselves that we can just do the bare minimum or we just do this and just do that, then we'll be okay. That's just to calm you at the moment and get you out of that headspace. But that's not truly addressing the issue. You know, it's a short-term fix for a long-term problem. It's like having a nail in your tire and you patch it. Then okay, that's fine. It'll be fine. At some point, the patch isn't going to work anymore. You're going to have to get a new tire. That's just what it is. You know, at some point, we're going to have to face the fear and face the truth of what's going on. And we're going to have to do a little bit more. We're going to have to invest a little bit more in ourselves. You know, we're going to have to want more for ourselves. You know, that lie that we tell ourselves that gives us that false sense of security also stops us and stunts our growth as far as being able to want more for ourselves. You know that you didn't grow up wanting to work at a gas station for next to nothing money and deal with being robbed all the time. That wasn't what you came up wanting to do. You have dreams, you have aspirations, you have hopes, goals. The only difference between a dream and reality is getting there. And that's the truth. You can say you want to buy a house, and somebody else who can't afford to buy a house and they're older than you tell you, "Oh, you're not going to be able to buy a house. What are you talking about?" And if you listen to them based on their experience and their fear and what they couldn't achieve, they're absolutely right. You're not buying a house because you're not going to attempt it. You're going to tell yourself, once again, you can't, or you're going to come up with reasons. And then you're going to set yourself up with something so as, once again, a false sense of security so you can feel better. The truth is you're in the same danger that you were in the beginning. You're just not facing it. You're not facing your fear. You're not facing yourself. You're not being honest with yourself. So I just wanted to touch on that false sense of security. I'm sure that my wife can expound upon that in her professionality. You know, I'm just a regular person over here, speaking a little bit to you and dropping some jewels.
Yeah. Um, you have to know like who you are when it comes to motivating yourself because everybody has a different process. Me, I know that I can talk myself out of it. Like, just like I can motivate myself to do it, I can motivate myself not to do it. And that's me. I know if I procrastinate long enough, it's just not going to get done. Okay? Um, like when it comes to me dancing because dancing is my connection to my higher power. You know, that is the gift that I have that reminds me of my purpose. It brings me back centered. It allows me to express myself in ways that words sometimes just simply can't do. Uh, so there'll be times where I have a project that I want to do or a song that I want to dance to, just for self or to post or to inspire or whatever the case may be. And I'll tell certain friends about it. I need to tell those friends about it because I know they're gonna hold me accountable. But I'll tell those friends about it, and then things will come up. I'll start pulling the excuses out, and I won't do it. So when I get the motivation, like I might see another dance video, and when I get that little burst of, man, I really wanted to do that project, and then out of the blue, three people, it could be strangers or friends, because that's how I feel like God talks to me. When I'm feeling my lowest, will be like, hey, what happened to that dance video or that project you were talking about? And and that'll usually be my sign and that boost that I need to just go ahead and do it. And sometimes that boost may come at 2 o'clock in the morning while everyone is asleep. But knowing me, if I don't go ahead and do it while I have that boost, it's not going to get done. So, in certain situations, you really, really have to know yourself and surround yourself with people that are positive, that can always remind you who you are, just in case you forget. Have that support system set up in the right way so you can push yourself forward to do the things that you've always wanted to do, that you were destined to do, that are on your heart. you know be open to doing that. That's been my strategy. Like um I have a, what is it called, a fail safe, if that's what it's called, babe. When you that's it, that's the right word.
I don't know if that's the right word. I'm still
Like
trying to figure out
I
exactly what it is you're trying to say.
like if one strategy doesn't work, you have basically a backup plan.
Yeah, it's a backup plan.
Okay.
Yeah. That's what we call a plan
Sorry,
B.
I always wanted to use that
And
word,
see,
fail safe. I thought I used it right, but maybe I
well,
didn't.
no, fail safe is usually a backup plan that you have that is going to work regardless, and
Okay.
it may not be exactly how you wanted it done in the beginning or the highest form of how you see it being done,
Hmm.
but still works and gets the job done. So yeah, fail safe. Yeah, keeps you safe from failure.
I did it. Hi, I'm great.
Yes, you are. You're wonderful. You did quite well.
Yes, 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 yes. Um, what else? Like, can I speak about? What else have I been struggling with? I think I talked about the negative thoughts. We talked about false sense of security. Um,
You talk about diet when you're trying to do what you're trying to do.
diet. Yes.
Not not what you're
Yeah, not food
not your
diet.
well food,
I
yeah,
mean, it can
but
help.
not food like that. But your diet
Mhm.
consists of what you take in spiritually, mentally,
Mhm.
who you have around you, who you're talking to, and who's talking to you.
Yep.
What information you're taking in as you're moving, like you're talking about the people you talk to and the people that boost you up. There are also people around and energy around that you absorb without being conscious of it. Anybody within 3 to 5 feet of you, even further, depending on your range, their energy affects you. So it's important to have the right people around you or not have people around you when you're making certain moves and doing certain things. Everybody is not going to be able to be with you all the way through your journey in all aspects because you have to do what you need to do. It's part of minding your business. and not minding your business in the way of, oh, don't pay attention to other people, just pay attention to what you're doing, but minding your business in the fact of minding your life, taking care of what you need to take care of, and putting that first, you know. But yeah.
Yes, mind your business. I was minding my business when I made my way down to California and met my husband and haven't looked back since. Just saying. It does work. That is a great plan. It's an amazing plan. I don't know if I've told this story before. But I might as well go ahead and share it now. Um, Stay tuned for part 2 in 2 weeks. The Live and Be Great podcast will be airing every other Friday. If you have truly enjoyed this podcast, thank you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for giving Live and Be Great a chance. Please feel free to share, like, give a review, subscribe on whichever platform that you're listening to right now, on iTunes or Apple Podcast, Spotify, Anchor, as well as Google Play. The Live and Be Great podcast is strictly crowdfunded, so if you are interested in becoming a supporter, you can click the link in the description, or you can go to liveandbegreat.com and scroll to the bottom and donate to the Live and Be Great podcast today, so I can continue to give you good and motivational content. Thank you all for listening, and don't forget to give yourself permission to live and be great.